Welcome to the Morning Blitz with John Abraham, Captain Cool, and the Bandiman Bailey Lowery. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Captain Cool.
Hello and welcome in, everybody, to a tipsy Tuesday here in No Man's Land. John Abraham, Captain Cool, alongside the Bandiman Bailey Lowery.
Hey.
Oh, and Bandy. I'm not going to talk about this too much, okay, but I am a little bit upset. If you guys don't know, I am a Cleveland Browns fan, big-time Cleveland Browns fan, okay. And just to start off, real quick, I'm just going to touch on it because I don't want to talk about it too much. I almost for sure thought the Cleveland Browns would have a winning chance against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they did. But the offense, a little sloppy, throwing a few interceptions, fumbling the ball in terrible territory. I mean, and also the white helmets that just made this whole football game seem a little bit weird. It just did not seem like the Cleveland Browns, and honestly, going into it, I would say that I did like the Cleveland Browns white helmets. I thought those were kind of slick with the white jerseys. Those are some of my favorite uniforms they wear. Throughout the game, though, I started learning to honestly just hate them because just the way that the Browns were playing, it did not feel, it did not look, it was not the Cleveland Browns, okay? And losing Nick Chubb was just the cherry on top of that terrible offensive performance from that team. I mean, you look at the game and you think, oh, this game was super close. It wasn't super close. Offense and gave up so many points that it wasn't even funny, and that's why this game actually came down to the wire and, the Steelers won. Very upset about that one. 256-576-4977 is the number you guys can call in. We're going to be talking Alabama Crimson Tide football. Today we're going to be having on Austin Hannon from Bama Central to figure out what this Tide team needs to do going into the matchup against Ole Miss. Because right now, Bandy, let's kind of just talk about this, okay?
Yeah.
Little conflicted on how this team's going to play, but we know that Jalen Milroe should be the quarterback of this team.
Yeah, I mean, he's already been named a starter, and just from the history of these two, I mean, it's going to be a competitive game no matter what.
For sure.
Because the way that history has unfolded between Alabama and Ole Miss, it really does not matter how good or bad both teams are. Mm-hmm. It always comes down to the wire. Yeah. Because I remember, what was it? Like, we were on our championship run year, and we still just barely managed to scrape out like a 3-point victory or like a touchdown victory against Ole Miss.
Yeah, and I mean,
it's gonna be close.
Yeah, and it has been a little bit more on Alabama's side these last few years, of course. But I mean, you look over at this year. This is the year that really matters at the moment because everything else is in the past now. But Alabama going up against the team that has put 73 up on Mercer, has beaten Tulane as they were ranked, which is a pretty good team right there. Going against Georgia Tech and beat them 48-23. Jackson Dart's been having a pretty solid season, and now going up against Alabama, 13th ranked Alabama, 15th ranked Ole Miss. This should be one of the closest matchups we see in a long time. But at the same time, I think that right now, Nick Saban and Jalen Milroe and this whole rest of the team, I think they're ready to start actually just blasting off, okay? I think it's the time for that, and I think that Jalen Milroe, of course, is the better choice with these three quarterbacks that they've kind of just been going back and forth from. The reason why we got to see a little bit of the other quarterbacks in the last matchup, just to get a little taste of what Ty Simpson and Buckner can really do for this team. But at the end of the day, Jalen Milroe's the guy that's looked the most commanding in the pocket, outside of the pocket. Even though we've all talked a little bit of smack about him because of how he played against Texas, he still played a really good game. Despite holding onto the ball too long, it's something you can fix. He needs to make his mind up whether he wants to run it or he wants to throw it. And again, we go back to that other thing. Alabama needs to work with him instead of work against him and try and make him something he is not.
Exactly. I feel like he's got that picture in his head that he's Tom Brady, and that, like they've been saying that since high school. Like, he's like Tom Brady. He is not Tom Brady.
Not Tom Brady. No.
He is Lamar Jackson.
No.
He has the dual threat ability to really just put dents into the offense. Like, you could run so many RPO options with Jalen Milroe, and it would work.
Yeah.
do what you did at Notre Dame, Reese.
Exactly, yeah.
So why are you trying to transition to a pocket game now?
Well, they need to take a book out of every opponent that has a mobile quarterbacks. They need to take just a little page out of their book, because you look at every other team that really rocks with a mobile quarterback. Some they're average. They're gonna do a little bit. They're gonna show a little bit of flashes. I mean, even USF had a little bit of flashes with their quarterback. But you see, with Alabama, with the line that you have, they're huge. They're huge guys. But this could also, this could be a bad thing for Alabama at the same time, because these guys aren't able to kind of move around the pocket. They're kind of able to just stay there, make a pocket for the quarterback to stay in. But the mobility is the question for these guys, okay? For this whole offensive line, you look over at Tyler Booker, you look at Seth McLaughlin, and then you also got to go and look over at Caden Proctor and the rest of this team. I mean, they've got to be able to move around with the quarterback to help him in throwing the ball at the same time. Or if he could just design a play where it's, hey, the quarterback gets it, he goes right up the middle, okay? Because there's plenty of times that was open in the game against Texas, and we saw it, we called it out, and he did not run up the middle.
Which I will say, correction from yesterday. Thank you, Drew, for yesterday. It was Nick Marshall we were looking for instead of Jeremy Johnson. But again, as much as it pains me to say it, you could take a page out of Gus Malzahn's book when it comes to these running quarterbacks, because he was cooking offenses with Nick Marshall, the Cam Newtons.
Yeah, exactly. And now we got a little bit more from Roydell Williams in the run game as well. So this going into the matchup against Ole Miss should also, be something that we take into that game, okay? Yeah. I want to see Jace McClellan as well as Roydell Williams just getting back and forth, and treat it like the Nick Chubb to Kareem Hunt type of formation, or even now you look over at these other teams, you got Tyler Algier as well as, what is it, Jameer? No, not Jameer, it's Bijan Robinson. Yeah. I get mixed up with all these running backs now. But you see that combination of running backs, and you find success with it. You don't have to be passing it every single time, and that is exactly what they'll need to do to find success against Ole Miss, because it's going to be a close game, and it's going to be something to definitely watch for us Alabama fans, as well as just SEC fans as a whole.
Yeah, because this game holds more stakes than just Ole Miss beating Alabama or Alabama beating Ole Miss. I mean, the West is pretty much wide open at the moment. Everyone's sitting at 2-1, except for two teams: the Ole Miss Rebels, and the Auburn Tigers.
Oh yeah,
both sitting at 3-0. Imagine Ole Miss goes to 3-1 this weekend. Alabama moves up to 3-1. Maybe Auburn drops one, and they go up to 4-0. I mean, the West is it is literally the Wild West right now.
It is the Wild West. I will say that. And to think that right now Auburn is sitting at the top with LSU and Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I mean, that is something that's kind of just like bizarre to me, because going into the season, we didn't even know if Peyton Thorne would be the quarterback or Robbie Ashford. Okay, it was a little bit of a back and forth. Robbie Ashford's getting a lot of the starts, he's getting a lot of the looks, but at the same time, Peyton Thorne's slowly just trying to make his way into this organization as well. And right now we're looking at teams that are just, they're the best in the West as of right now. But I honestly think that an Alabama, a Mississippi State will be making a little bit of a push moving forward, and I cannot wait to see it. On the other side, Georgia, I'm looking at this team, and I got to say, there is not a true number one in college football right now.
Yeah.
But now that Michigan gets Jim Harbaugh back, they're going up against an easy squad.
I completely forgot he was suspended.
Completely forgot. They're going up against Rutgers, okay, in their first Big Ten matchup. And now you look at this team, and if we see this team find extreme success against the Rutgers team that's not looking too bad this season, then we might be seeing a new number one, depending on how Georgia is able to face off against their matchup this week, which will be up against. Are they playing? They're playing UAB. Oh, they're playing UAB. Oh, I forgot about that. Their second half to the schedule is where it gets difficult. Okay, they play Auburn after UAB. Well, I'll get into that later on in the show. Okay, but I don't think that this Georgia team is a legit number one contender. Okay? I think that the playoffs are fine. That's something they could definitely get into, okay? Especially with the track record they had. It'd be a sin to not let them get into the playoffs at the end of the season. But do I think they are the number one team in the country? There's a lot left to be wanted to see this team be number one, okay?
Especially on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, defensively, they're pretty much looking like same old Georgia.
They're stout. They got big boys on their team.
Yeah, it's same old Georgia on the defensive side. It's really, they seem to have trouble scoring.
Yeah.
That's kind of my main issue with Georgia in the moment, especially that first half against South Carolina. It really just seemed like they could not get anything done.
It was a rough little game right there. It was rough.
Yeah, and later they did adjust and later got the win by double digits.
Mm-hmm.
But that first half kind of had a lot of people thinking, like, what is going – is this kind of – are we about to see like another South Carolina – Tennessee situation from last year, but earlier in the season.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think that South Carolina did have a chance in that game. They only scored 2 touchdowns, and it was 14-24 at the end of this one because Georgia was like, okay, it's time to get serious. Let's score 14 in the third alone.
Yeah.
And then also let's move on and score another one just to solidify this win because, we had a field goal at the beginning of the game to make sure we had at least some points on the board. But, again, we look back to how Spencer Rattler was playing in that one. And yet again, you want to see this guy succeed, but 256 yards, that's good. 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. That's where it's like you're looking at this guy and he's like, it's same old Spencer Rattler. It's like, is this guy even going to make it to the NFL? Most likely. However, I don't think he's going to find too much success, but that's just for now.
Hey, Captain Cool.
What's up?
We have
breaking news.
We have some breaking news.
Bandy, what do we got?
Out of the talks, because you can see where this can lead. As of 10 minutes ago, the XFL and the USFL are in advanced talks to merge into one league. An announcement could come as soon as this week. Just reported 10 minutes ago for Front Office Sports.
That's some big stuff. XFL and USFL together, that makes it a little bit more appealing, I would say.
Does make it more appealing.
I would still wish that they'd play in their own leagues until the end of the season. But other than that, I mean, they both have very nice ideas that they bring to the sport of football. But being separate, you kind of care about one a little bit more than the other. So I'd like to see them both together.
But merged, I could see this being an easier path for those players to get to the NFL.
Oh, for sure.
Instead of saying like, but he was in the XFL, now it's like, all right, let's see how he does in the USFL, or like vice versa, and then let's get him up to the NFL.
Yeah.
And now that they could potentially be one league, that's going to make that stepping stone from playing in the XFL, USFL to getting back into the NFL or taking your first steps toward it.
Yeah, I actually like that idea because I didn't think we needed 2 different spring football leagues. I think it was a little bit too much. Okay, a little bit clunky at times as well because of how weird the season ended for one and then the season started. It was already a little bit – we were already kind of done with it, but I would definitely love to see it merge as one. But definitely keep us updated with that, Bandiman. I'll be looking into it as well. But we got to hop into a break because when we come back, we're going to get you guys updated on everything that happened around the NFL this past week in Week 2. That's what's coming up here on the Morning Blitz on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
With us today, Dr. Tracy Lowery of Best Vein Care of Huntsville.
When we evaluate a patient and they indeed have significant venous disease, most third-party payers, private insurance, Medicare, require us to treat every patient conservatively at least 90 days. Conservative treatment includes increasing ambulation, elevation of the legs, and the wearing of compression stockings. It's very common for folks to come see us in March or April wanting to have their veins fixed before they go into swimsuits starting in June. When we see someone in March or April, they're going to require at least 90 days of conservative treatment before we can even go to the insurance carrier to get permission to treat their veins. So if you think you have a venous problem, now is the time to come in and get a free screening so we can determine whether or not you need something evaluated. If you have a vein problem or you think you may have a vein problem, now's the time to contact us at bestveincarehuntsville.com.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
You want the right specialist for your recovery. At SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, we understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our SportsMed specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville, Madison, Athens, and Decatur, and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Improving performance, improving lives.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Tom Abraham here for my friends at Alumni Hall. Alumni Hall is the ultimate shopping experience for Alabama and Auburn fans. Located right here in Huntsville, come shop the best selection of officially licensed apparel, hats, Yeti, accessories, and gifts. Whether you're heading to the spring game or shopping graduation gifts or just love to show your school pride daily, come see us at Alumni Hall. University students, faculty, and military receive 10% off in store, and you can earn cash back with our Hall Pass rewards. Alumni Hall, located in Bridge Street Shopping Center, or shop anytime at alumnihall.com.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Stan McDonald. Stan, tell everybody why you're the best damn dirt lawyer in North Alabama.
Yes, Wes, at Jacob Title and the Stanton Law Firm. You know I'm a dirt lawyer, and a lot of our friends know that, which means we specialize in real estate. Now, if you own real estate or you're buying it or you're selling it, you need to do a closing, but a lot of times there's legal issues associated with that. We're a great group to talk to. My son, Lewis McDonald, heads our commercial closing division, and we approach your real estate needs very seriously. We seek to be the premier real estate closing company in North Alabama, and we do it in such a way it shows that we're experienced, we're for your success. We like to handle your real estate needs the same way Coach Dan Reeves used to say, never let them see you sweat. And that's going to be to your benefit, too, when you visit us at Jacob Title and the Stanton Law Firm. Our website online is jacobtitle.com.
The Huntsville Sports Commission is responsible for bringing high-level sports entertainment to the Rocket City. In 2023, enjoy events like the CCSA Beach Volleyball Championships, Hometown Lenders Championship, UCI Paracycling Road World Cup, and so much more. To learn more about upcoming events and the Huntsville Sports Commission, visit huntsvillesports.com. The Huntsville Sports Commission. We do sports.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly to partly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid-80s, dropping into the upper 50s, lower 60s as we head into the overnight. Early into your Wednesday morning, a partly sunny sky. Wednesday afternoon, temperatures climbing into the mid-80s. Really is going to be a beautiful day across the Tennessee Valley. Not a single drop of rain in the forecast Tuesday or Wednesday. As a matter of fact, we're going to keep the dry conditions around as we head into Thursday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hello and welcome back in, everybody. John Abraham, Captain Cool, alongside the Bandiman, Bailey Lowery, here on the Morning Blitz on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Make sure you guys find us online and on Twitter at 97.7 ESPN, on Facebook at 97.7 ESPN The Zone. And while you're at it, go and find us on Twitch and YouTube at WZZN TV for more than just sports talk. You get to see all of your favorite sports talk analysts and all that good stuff. If you want to join in on the show, 256-5764.
97.7
is the number for you guys to call. And remember that this hour is presented by Fleming Roofing and Restoration, the guys you need to talk to about all of your roofing needs. If you're having any roofing problems, make sure you look them up online at FlemingHSV.com to fill out your free quote today. And remember that Fleming always shows up. Bandy, I don't know if this is going to be copyright, but we're going to go with it, and we're going to see what happens. Here we go. You know what time it is, Bandy. Time to run through every single NFL game from week 2 and tell you guys all of what you need to know. First things first, Eagles-Vikings. Kirk Cousins shows us that he's still a reliable quarterback, but he's constantly behind. 4 touchdowns from him, 364 yards passing, but drops it to Jalen Hurts and the Eagles in a game that everybody except for one, Alexander Madison, found success. DeAndre Swift, 28 attempts, 175 yards, 1 touchdown. Devontae Smith, 4 receptions, 131 yards, and a touchdown. Justin Jefferson, 159 yards receiving. Absolutely insane game. Eagles take it, go to 2-0, and beat the Vikings. Moving on. Looking at the Jets and the Cowboys. The Jets do not have Aaron Rodgers. That's why they lose games. 30-10. Zach Wilson's not going to be able to do it, and I feel so bad for Garrett Wilson in his second season because, honestly, this guy would be the top wide receiver in all of the NFL if he had Aaron Rodgers at the helm. Moving on. The Commanders versus the Broncos. Honestly, I did not think the Commanders had a chance. Moving on from this game, and then they showed out, and they showed even more. Sam Howell, he's good enough. He's good enough. Russell Wilson, we thought he was good enough. He did do better than Sam Howell. 308 yards passing with 3 touchdowns. But it just wasn't enough because Brian Robinson Jr. is a thing. 2 touchdowns from him, 87 yards on the ground, and then Terry McLaurin. I have him on my bench, and I don't play him too much, but he had a touchdown. He was the top wide receiver for the Commanders. It was all Brian Robinson, though, and they take the win 35-33. Moving on. 49ers and the Rams. 49ers are a good team. Brock Purdy, he's solid. He gets the ball off. Christian McCaffrey's amazing. 116 yards on the ground, 1 touchdown. Deebo Samuel, 63 yards in the air. Matthew Stafford looked pretty decent. Honestly, this game was a little bit more back and forth than what we thought. The Rams are looking a lot better than what we expected this season. But because they've got an amazing wide receiver to take over in one Mr. Puka Nacua, who now has 25 receptions in his first 2 games. And like 266 yards, I think. Jeez, absolutely insane. But alas, the 49ers moved to 2-0. 30-23 was the end of that game. Cardinals versus the Giants. It's the battle of the worst. I gotta admit, this game was wacky. Cardinals got up to a pretty assertive lead. And then 20 unanswered points. The Giants claw themselves back. Daniel Jones is back to being a hero in New York. Josh Dobbs actually looked extremely solid for the Cardinals. James Conner had 106 yards on the ground. And Saquon Barkley, he had a bad injury, but he's only going to be out for like 3-4 weeks. So that's honestly the best thing that can happen. Jalen Hyde also kind of cemented his name into this offense for the Giants. He had 89 yards in the air. Giants take this one 31-28 after a massive comeback. Seahawks, Lions. This game, talk about back and forth. We didn't think the Seahawks would be that decent, but they were able to show up in Detroit against the Detroit Lions. Geno Smith had 328 yards passing with 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Walker looked very slow on the ground, but he did have 2 touchdowns as well. And DK Metcalf is back in the fantasy radar. 75 yards receiving for him. On the other side, Jared Goff is a good quarterback. 323 yards passing with 3 touchdowns. And then David Montgomery, although he went out with an injury later in this one, 16 attempts for 67 yards and a touchdown. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown continues to find success with his star quarterback with 102 yards in the air. 37-31 was the end of that one. Very close game. Came down to overtime. And the Seahawks take it, go to 1-1. Bills Raiders. Turns out the Raiders are not going to be good enough. Jimmy G is not going to change this team to where they can really be assertive in the NFL world. Devontae Adams, on the other hand, he's still really good. And he's putting up points in fantasy go. So if you guys might want to trade for him, if you want to, throw him my way, I'm looking at the guy I played this week. Do it. Josh Allen's still finding success, even though the lackluster for week 1 against the Lions. 274 yards as well as 3 touchdowns. And James Cook actually getting a little bit of success running the ball, 123 from him. The Bills win, move to 1-1, and it looks like they're going to be fine on the season. 38-10 was the final in that one. Titans-Chargers. Chargers have always been a bane of the Titans' existence. I'll say that, but
not this year.
Not this year. Ryan Tannehill was able to find success. Derrick Henry was able to show why he's still one of the best running backs in the games. And then Justin Herbert, still pretty good, I would say, in this game. 305 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and then Keenan Allen showing up. It's like, we don't need Mike Williams. We got Keenan Allen. 111 yards, 2 touchdowns. Titans finished this one off. Was that at home? Yeah, it was. They were wearing the white jerseys. I don't know. 27-24 was the score in that one. Chiefs, Jaguars. Jaguars are on the precipice of greatness, I'll say that, but you got to go up against the Chiefs as they are coming off of an angry loss in Week 1. They're looking pretty good. Patrick Mahomes, 305 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Sky Moore, 70 yards receiving, 1 touchdown off of 3 receptions. Trevor Lawrence, looking good, but not good enough. Trevor Etienne, or is it, which one's which? I don't even know. I know there's 2. There's one on the Gators as well. He didn't do too good. Christian Kirk didn't do too well. He had 110 yards. It was pretty good. But Chiefs were able to hold him off on defense. 17-10 or 17-9 was the score of that one. Moving on. Colts versus Texans. 31-20 is the score. Colts take this one, and let me tell you, Gardner Minshew had to come in for the Colts, and he was able to get work done. Anthony Richardson looked very good in the time that he had. 2 rushing touchdowns for the young man. Michael Pittman had 56 yards receiving. And Zach Moss showing why he can be a reliable back for this Colts team. Falcons versus Packers. Packers were up in this one. Jordan Love was looking solid. He had 3 touchdowns in this one, but Desmond Ridder and Bijan Robinson were able to bring this one back, as well as, hey, who's this guy? Drake London. 1 touchdown from him, 67 yards, and a good, solid victory for the Falcons as they move to 2-0 in that NFC South. Moving on. Buccaneers versus Bears. Speaking of the NFC South, there's 3 teams that are 2-0. One of them's the Buccaneers. Golly, 27-17. The Bears are terrible. Justin Fields, not good.
He's not it.
He's not good. He's not a quarterback. Baker Mayfield, though, he is a quarterback. 317 yards and a touchdown. Rashad White had a solid game as well. Got me a lot of points fantasy. Moving on. Ravens-Bengals wanted a meteor to hit the stadium, but that cannot happen because the Ravens were solid in this one as the Bengals fall to 0-2. Big time loss for them. Joe Burrow, 222 yards passed with 2 touchdowns. Joe Mixon, not bad at all with 59 yards rushing, but it was Lamar Jackson and his squad that got the dub. 237 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. And they say he's not a quarterback. 27-24 was the final in that one. Moving on. Browns Steelers, don't want to talk about it. Saints versus Panthers. Panthers, not good enough. Derek Carr, just barely good enough to beat the Panthers. This Panthers team's going to need a lot of work to be where they want to be with Bryce Young. But hey, Bryce Young was able to pop off a pretty good run in this one. So I will say that he is starting to look a little bit more comfortable. But geez, just some sloppy defensive games last night. And then to finish it off, the last game to talk about was the Dolphins and the Patriots. Dolphins get the victory in this one because the Patriots honestly think they could do something against this team by taking away the deep threat that is Tyreek Hill as well as Jalen Waddle. But Raheem Mostert still exists. 121 yards rushing with 2 touchdowns. A solid victory from this Dolphins squad as they move to 2-0. And the Patriots fall with Mac and Jones 2-0-2. Bandy, it was a great week. So sad, though. So sad what happened last night. Either way, we got to hop into a break, guys. When we come back, Austin Hannon's going to be joining us to talk a little bit of Alabama football on the other side. This is the Morning Blitz on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Unlike other credit cards that decline sports betting transactions or treat them as a cash advance, the G-Bank Visa Signature Card can load directly to your favorite sportsbook apps. G.bank/VSiN.
NFL this Thursday night. The Niners are favored by 10.5 at home against the Giants. San Francisco 2-0. New York 1-1. Monday Night Football. The Saints beat the Panthers 20-17. Top overall pick. Bryce Young was sacked 4 times in the loss. The Panthers dropped to 0-2. The Saints are 2-0. New Orleans was a 3-point favorite. The over/under 39.5. The total 37.5. The Steelers rallied to beat the Browns 26-22. Both teams 1-1 with the result. Pittsburgh was a 2.5-point underdog plus 124 on the money line. The over/under 39. The total 48. Cleveland's Nick Chubb suffered a knee injury that could end his season. Get the latest lines and more at vsin.com.
The state's largest orthopedic group is growing to meet the needs of the patients in our community. The Orthopedic Center has long been the most trusted name in orthopedics in North Alabama. So as our area continues on the fast track, so does the need for premier orthopedic care anywhere and anytime you need it. TOC is proud to announce the opening of our new locations in Albertville and Hampton Cove, along with the grand opening of our newest office in Decatur. These clinics will offer the same high-quality orthopedic care you have come to associate with TOC, with the convenience of being closer to home. As a patient, your time is your most precious asset, and we recognize that at TOC. That's why we are also proud to announce the opening of our urgent ortho clinics to handle those bumps and bruises that need prompt attention. These clinics are available to care for acute orthopedic injuries with no appointment necessary. With 38 physicians, 20 centers of excellence, and now more than a dozen locations to serve you, TOC will continue to be the name you turn to for the best orthopedic care at the right time. Visit our website at visittoc.com for more information. TOC, helping you live a better life.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-306-8158 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-306-8158. That's 800-306-8158. What do you have to lose? Call 800-306-8158. Again, 800-306-8158.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time, or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly to partly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid 80s, dropping into the upper 50s, lower 60s as we head into the overnight. Early into your Wednesday morning, a partly sunny sky. Wednesday afternoon, temperatures climbing into the mid 80s. Really is going to be a beautiful day across the Tennessee Valley. Not a single drop of rain in the forecast Tuesday or Wednesday. As a matter of fact, we're going to keep the dry conditions around as we head into Thursday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hello and welcome back in, everybody. John Abraham Camp Cool alongside the Bandiman Bailey Lowery here on the Morning Blitz on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Now, we've talked plenty of NFL now. Okay, I think we got that out of my system, mainly just my system. I don't know if Bandy even wanted to talk about it. On top of that, we've also talked a little bit of college football, just dabbled into a little bit of Alabama football, but now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty and talk with one Mr. Austin Hannon from BamaCentral.com. Austin, how are you doing today, man?
Doing great. How are you guys doing?
We can't complain too much. Well, I could complain, but I don't think anybody would actually care because I'm a Browns fan. But moving on, looking at this Alabama team as they faced off against the South Florida Bulls, kind of just the big thing I want to take away, and I don't even want to really talk about the performance, by this team at the end of it all. But I kind of want to look at these quarterbacks with Buckner as well as Simpson. Kind of just tell me how you kind of evaluated them and how much of a role they'll actually play throughout the rest of this season, if any.
Yeah, I think that situation on Saturday was weird. You had the reports coming out on Wednesday, Thursday of maybe Tyler Buckner was going to start, and why was that the case? Obviously, Milroe struggled a little bit against Texas. There's a little bit of swirlings going around that maybe things didn't go so well in practice. Maybe his attitude wasn't exactly where Nick Saban wanted it at after the loss, and that created an opportunity for the other two. And I think Tyler Buchner, obviously, he played a few games at Notre Dame last year, got the Gator Bowl MVP against South Carolina, and was listed as the number 2 guy in the depth chart going into last week. And so he was going to get the first call. And it didn't go too great for him. Obviously, it's not all his fault when the offensive line's not playing well. And, of course, the rain delay happens, which kind of throws him off as well. But not a great performance. And it wasn't shocking at all that they went to Ty Simpson there after the rain delay and before halftime. And I think Simpson was okay. He was a high recruit, obviously. He hasn't ever really touched the field in a meaningful moment during his Alabama career. So that was kind of his first real shot at it with the first team. And, other than the 5 sacks, I thought he looked okay out there. He completed a couple nice passes. And a lot of people kind of agree that maybe he has the highest ceiling as a passer, maybe in this Alabama quarterback room. But with the team where it's at, with the strengths of the team where it's at, and with where the offensive line is at, I think that's why you're seeing this transition back to Jalen Milroe, because he kind of gives you the athletic capabilities that maybe the other two don't. And that's kind of what Alabama needs right now, because with the offensive line playing the way it is, you need a guy out there that can get out of the pocket and make a play with his feet when, otherwise you're going to get sacked. So obviously Saban came out yesterday, and that was one of the first things he wanted to announce was that, kind of after evaluating all 3 of them, which I don't know if it was a complete evaluation of Ty Simpson. They ran the ball a lot. He got sacked 5 times, like I mentioned before. But not surprising at all to me that they are going back to Milroe to start the game on Saturday.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And I will agree, Ty Simpson, he does look like a very viable passing threat for the Crimson Tide. But I think that sticking with Jalen Milroe, probably going to be the better of the choices. And you did bring up how he's able to extend plays when that line isn't really showing out. But kind of just talk about the line and which part of it are we really seeing the most cracks, because we might see a little bit from one game, but then the other game, one of the players might be solid. Kind of just break it down for us a little bit going into the week 4 against the Ole Miss.
I think it's been kind of going back and forth, like you said, throughout each week. Early on in the first and second game, you saw Seth McLaughlin kind of struggling to snap the ball very well. Milroe having to deal with a couple low snaps through his legs, and obviously that's a problem. And I also think the Texans was getting pretty good pressure up the middle against McLaughlin as well. But I think he looked a lot better last week. I went back and watched the tape and did a film review on the offensive line this week. And McLaughlin I didn't think was the issue on Saturday. I think it was really stemming from the left side, which is, expected because Tyler Booker missed the game at left guard. And so that puts Terrence Ferguson in the game, who, Saban talks pretty good about this offseason, but a guy that doesn't really have very much experience. I got, alongside another guy that doesn't have a lot of experience, in Caden Proctor as a true freshman. And the thing is, all off season it was talked about how big and strong and dominant the offensive line was going to be, but it seems like maybe they're just a little too slow. Like USF was putting out a lot of guys that were, a little bit more athletic, not your, stereotypical nose tackles on the edge, and really just blowing by Caden Proctor and by Terrence Ferguson and really by the entire offensive line. And that's obviously not a good thing when you put into play what this USF program has done over the last few years. They have 5 wins. Yes, 5 wins since the beginning of the 2020 season. And they looked like a dominant defensive front from the NFL on Saturday. So serious issues going on there. I think Caden Proctor is going to get better. He's one of the biggest recruits, the offensive line recruits that Alabama's ever gotten. Of course, he was the big guy that was from Iowa, was committed to Iowa, but ended up flipping on early signing day to Alabama, and he was one of the biggest recruits of the class, and because of that, got his chance on day one, and it's been a little bit of a struggle, but I think that the improvement will be there eventually, and when Tyler Booker gets back, a lot's been said about his ability to kind of help Proctor grow in that spot, so I think that'll help. I think McLaughlin, with more improvement, will get better. Derry Dalcourt's always been a guy that's just kind of disappointing on that line. I think he's a 5th-year player, but he still kind of plays like he's, a first- or second-year player. And then, of course, at right tackle, you got J.C. Latham, who has been pretty good all year. He did get beat for a sack on Saturday, but I think for the most part this year, he's kind of been the leader of that group, and obviously he's going to be a first-round draft pick in April, unless something terribly goes wrong the rest of the season. So it's still early in the year, and offensive lines, especially new ones coming together, like some of the pieces on this one, you're going to see some issues, but I think some of these issues have been far, far worse than what many fans expected going into the year.
Austin Hannon from Bama Central is talking with us about Alabama football and kind of looking over at a little bit of the positive side of what Alabama was doing. Was kind of in that run game. We got to see a little bit more of Roydell Williams and also a mix between Jace McClellan as well. Kind of just talk about how Alabama is going to be using the run game a little bit more, leaning on these guys to find success against Ole Miss.
Yeah, I think the run game was a big, big thing for Alabama on Saturday just because of the quarterback thing we talked about. Obviously, Milroe sitting out for whatever reason. You were going to have to lean on the running backs with Ty Simpson and Tyler Buckner in the game, but I think that's what they've been kind of trying to emphasize all year is that they wanted to run the ball. So for it finally to kind of play out like it did, which it was USF, like I mentioned, who has won 5 games in 4 years, you kind of expected them to be able to run the ball well, and they did, so they lived up to those expectations. But you got to keep it going against, teams like Ole Miss and teams like Mississippi State and Texas A&M and the rest of the teams down the schedule. So it's one thing to run the ball against Middle Tennessee State and against USF, but we saw the Crimson Tide really struggle to run the ball against Texas, and that was one of the bigger reasons that Milroe ended up making poor decisions and having to throw the ball. And so it all starts with the running game. It all starts with the line of scrimmage, and Alabama did pretty well down the stretch of that game on Saturday of kind of bullying USF and running the ball. But I want to see. I'm not convinced yet. I want to see how they play against Ole Miss this weekend and up against that Pete Golding front.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be a real challenge. And kind of just tell us how that defense kind of fares against this Ole Miss offense led by Jackson Dart.
Yeah, they looked pretty good last year in Oxford. If you remember that football game, it didn't get off to a great start. It was a frigid day in Oxford, and I believe Ole Miss went up 14-0 early on, and Alabama was able to battle back in that game behind Bryce Young and figure out a way to win even when the season was kind of not necessarily over, but in terms of Alabama's standard, over with 2 losses. And you're going to see a pretty similar offense on Saturday from the Rebels. They've still got Jackson Dart at quarterback. They've still got Quinshon Judkins at running back, and they've still got Lane Kiffin calling the plays. So you're going to get a very similar look. The defensive line was great in that game last year. Dallas Turner and a couple of guys like Byron Young and DJ Dale, who have left now, obviously had played a pretty big role in that game in the second half. So I expect Jaheim Otis, if he can get back from injury, obviously he missed the game on Saturday. They're going to need him on Saturday against a great rushing attack that Ole Miss has. They were near the top of the country last year, and they're doing similar things this year so far. They've got some good players out at wide receiver too, so it's going to be another big game for the secondary. And they kind of failed to meet expectations in that fourth quarter against Texas 2 weeks ago when A.D. Mitchell and a couple of those other receivers on Texas started really getting going down the stretch. So Lane Kiffin's going to be a big test. He knows the Alabama team better than really anybody. He's still searching for that first win against Nick Saban that he's wanted so bad over the years. And if Alabama plays like it did on Saturday or plays like it did against Texas, it's going to have itself up against another tough test on Saturday. And I'm sure that Lane Kiffin and Pete Golding would like nothing more than to come to Bryant-Denny Stadium and get a win.
Austin Hannon from Bama Central. Austin, we appreciate you hopping on. Tell the people where they can find you on socials and online.
Yeah, so myself and all of my coworkers work, like you said earlier, BamaCentral.com. And on that Twitter X thing that we call now, you can follow me at Austin Hannon _. Most of my stuff that I got going on will be right there.
Great stuff, Austin. Love having you on. Can't wait to talk with you later on through the season.
Appreciate it, guys.
Appreciate him. Austin Hannon from Bama Central. Man knows what he's talking about. He just goes, too. He's got the ins and outs about everything. I think this is going to be a bigger challenge, honestly, than Texas, I will say. With a coach who really knows this offense, who knows this team, I think Lane Kiffin and this Ole Miss Rebels team is going to be the biggest challenge. And I think, yes, it is going to be another stressful week for us Alabama fans. And that's, of course, how it's going to be when you see your team a little bit faulty at the beginning of the season, but at the end of the day, Nick Saban will get that Alabama team churning right. But we got to hop into a break. When we come back, we're going to close out the show with what we got coming up later this week, as well as a little bit extra here on the Morning Blitz on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, proudly saying Roll Tide and War Eagle. Stop into University Kia today and shop one of the area's largest selection of new Kias, including Fortes, Seltos, Telluride, and Popular Carnival, and fully electric EV6. View all the great specials at universitykia.com and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia you really want, because we want to see you in a University Kia.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Work injuries happen in Alabama all the time, whether it's an accident at work, getting injured, lifting heavy objects, hurting your hands on a machine, or just performing the same movement over and over until your body breaks down. But when it happens, there's only one law firm to call in Alabama. That's Pond Lehocky Giordano. For personalized legal support, reach out to Pond Lehocky at 855-774-3838 or pondlehocky.com.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly to partly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid-80s, dropping into the upper 50s, lower 60s as we head into the overnight. Early into your Wednesday morning, a partly sunny sky. Wednesday afternoon, temperatures climbing into the mid-80s. Really is going to be a beautiful day across the Tennessee Valley. Not a single drop of rain in the forecast Tuesday or Wednesday. As a matter of fact, we're going to keep the dry conditions around as we head into Thursday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Listen weekday afternoons starting at 5 on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
It's perfect!
Hello and welcome back in, everybody, to the final segment of this Tipsy Tuesday here on the Morning Blitz. Looking forward into the week. Guys, keep an eye out because we got zone deals on zone deals. We got the Flow Supreme Air deal coming back, and that means you know what that means, okay? You guys can hop on in, okay, and you guys can talk, and you guys can give us your hot take, and then you guys can hop into our giveaway of a party of 10 at Flow Supreme Air, as well as get that zone deal, and that's going to be on Thursday, so definitely jump on that one. And then on top of that, of course we're going to have some high school football. Of course we will. Okay, we got Madison Academy going up against Danville. We got Sparkman going up against Grissom. It says it's on Zone 4, but it is not on Zone 4. It's going to be on the air. It's going to be a great, great game. And then the game of the week is going to be Huntsville versus Bob Jones. Honestly, going to be an interesting one because both of these teams are on Sparkman's schedule later on, and I want to see how they can perform against each other before Sparkman comes into town and does what they got to do. And then Randolph going up against Westminster Christian, and that's going to be with the Bandiman as well as Drew DeArmond, and that's going to be on Zone 3, so definitely listen into that because we're going to have some great, great high school action this weekend for you.
It'll be fun for Randolph because, I mean, literally, that Westminster and the team, they just beat North Jackson last week, played the week before.
Did they really?
So, I mean, so it's kind of cool they were able to get film pretty much for two teams at the same time.
Oh, wait, that is awesome. That is sick. I love when it all works out like that. And again, they will be on our airways all across at the exact same time.
Yeah, don't you just love it when a plan comes together?
I know, it really does. And I mean, that's kind of just what we do all day long here. I mean, you guys hop on, listen to us. You guys listen to the football that we got for you. The Browns were on yesterday on 97.7 ESPN The Zone, so you guys could have listened to that. I definitely did because I had to leave at one point and then I had to come back and I was listening to it. It was a great broadcast, by the way. But as soon as I left to drop off Summer, all right, I turned on the broadcast on my phone and the Steelers got a touchdown. I think he threw it to George Pickens and it was like a 74-yard touchdown. So then I was like, okay, I'm done listening to this. And I threw the phone and I was just like, I'm just going to wait until I get back. Browns got close in that one. And then it ended the same, and I was very upset about it, so it doesn't even matter. I want to look at Georgia real quick before we hop out of here. So looking at this team, okay, you can't say that this is the dominant team that Kirby Smart has been building for the last few years because obviously you lose a lot of your talent last season. They go on to the NFL. And now you got Carson Beck at the helm, and you show, decent performance against UT Martin, against Ball State, against mid-tier South Carolina, who I do think is always going to cause a little bit of problems for some of these teams. I mean, Alabama's got to play them later on in the season as well, I think. Well, actually, they don't even have to play them. Oh, that's good. I don't want to have to play against South Carolina. They're an oddball. They're an oddball team, okay? Alabama usually never plays them. And then they go up against UAB. And then they go and play SEC teams. They got Auburn, who, yes, is 3-0 right now, but there's no telling until that kind of shatters. Then they got Kentucky, which it's, yes, another team that is, pretty solid right now. But as soon as SEC play starts, I don't think it's going to be continuing that way. They get Vanderbilt. You got Vanderbilt. They lost to ULNV or whatever. I don't even know what that team's mascot is, okay? And then you got Florida, finally. This is the part of the schedule that I think will actually be tough, okay? Because it's a Georgia team that's already kind of unproven. They haven't really scared anybody. Similar to Tennessee, they haven't really scared anybody. So nobody at this point in the season is probably going to be that involved or that worried about playing up against Georgia and Carson Beck. You look forward, they got Missouri. Missouri played a solid game against Kansas State. And they were able to get the dub against the 15th ranked team in the country. Then you got Mississippi, Ole Miss. Another 15th ranked team. Going to cause problems for Georgia. Tennessee, who will probably be on the up and up by then. And then you finish off with Georgia Tech, because that's just how it is. Bandy, who do we got on the line?
All right, we got Jeremy on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. What's going on, Jeremy?
Hey, guys. I hate to take a hard left turn on the college football talk, but
that's fine.
I got a question about Monday Night Football for you guys, and you tell me. Does it seem like it's been cursed this year with injuries?
I honestly have to say yes.
I mean, at this point, I think we have to say so.
I mean, yesterday for the Cleveland Browns, that was just absolutely sloppy. I mean, the whole game was sloppy. The game before that also was pretty bad. And then prior to that, who did we have last week on Monday Night Football? Because I get confused with all these things getting jumbled up together.
Let's see. We had the Bills and the Jets.
Monday night has not been talked about. Yeah. Monday night has not been talked about enough. But you can even go back to last year, toward the end of the season, with the DeMar Hamlin thing.
Yeah,
that happened on Monday Night Football. It just seems like the major injuries. And I want to go back. I think that Joe Theismann's injury, just to take it back and date it a little bit, I think his was on a Monday night.
Yeah, I believe it was as well. But, yeah, looking back to last week, you are right, though. I look at that. It was the Jets game. And that, just the thought of it. I mean, you lose the big-time quarterback that everybody's kind of been looking at on Hard Knocks just all together. I've been really just invested in this Jets team. And then for it all to just kind of go out the window. And that's the same thing that happened to the Browns last night with their star running back, who is pretty much their team. Just thrown out the window. If you play on Monday night, you better watch out because your season could be in the trash as soon as it starts.
All right, who's got Monday Night Football this week? Let's see.
Take a little peek.
Let's see. Who's got this week? Rams and the Bengals.
Well, Joe Burrow is already out in the first place. I don't think he's going to be playing in that one, so he doesn't have to get injured.
And the Eagles Buccaneers.
I don't like how they're playing, too. Jeremy, finish off what you got to talk about.
Oh, I feel bad. I'm scared for Jalen next Monday.
Oh.
But, the Monday Night Football thing, it's great when they do. I wish they wouldn't do it until this next Monday either.
Yeah.
Because it makes it difficult.
It does.
Because you're like, which one do I watch? But YouTube TV's got the multi-channel thing now, and that helps out a lot.
Hey, I've been hearing. I was about to say thank you for the call, Jeremy, but I've been seeing a lot of praise for the YouTube TV lately.
Looks very
I've been
slick.
thinking about it.
Looks very slick. But I will say, the 2 games on Monday Night Football, agreeing with Jeremy, you're forced to watch the other one. Like, if I wanted to watch the Saints going up against the Panthers, I would flip the channel, okay? I don't want to have a smaller screen because you want to show me this other game. The Cleveland Browns were doing fine until they started throwing that in, but jeez. Oof. Tipsy Tuesdays come to an end. In 22 hours, me and the Bandiman will be back. Tomorrow we got RJ White from Sportsline.com. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day. For me and the Bandy, peace out.
Isn't the story of the prodigal son an amazing story? Basically, a rowdy boy who literally wished his father dead, ran away, and consumed his